Okay guys, you can see here I'm just taking just cockpit parts off the sprue just to start on the cockpit here. What I'll do is anything that I think that we need to talk about, we'll talk about it as we go. I'm lightening up the opening up the lightning holes on the seat here, and then we'll just clean the holes up with a bit of extra thin. I changed the my primer for this kit just for a change, really. This is Mr. Surfacer 1500 black, naturally. It's thinned with Mr. Leveling Thinner, about a 50-50 mix. Gives a nice smooth finish. I find it's not quite as tough as the Stynylrez. The paints I'm using predominantly here and throughout this build are the Guns Mr. Colour Lacquer paints, again thinned with Mr. Leveling Thinner. I've got a few Japanese colours in, so it's a good chance to get them used. This is a good little tool I've been after for a little while. This is this is just off eBay. This is a Clear Resin UV pen. It's a cheap old thing. It works well, in my opinion, for especially bezels, instrument panel, little glass bezels there. Look, it gives a nice rendition of glass when it's when you hit the resin with some UV. Silver foil belts. There's no belts in the kit, so I just fashioned my own out of silver foil as best I could. So as you can see, we're all progressing quite nicely. The cockpit's going in quite well. Fuselage goes together quite well. There's no gaps. I'm thinking, God, this is really nice. And it all starts going wrong. Just as I started to get the wings together, or get the wings onto the fuselage, you'll see in a minute it's coming up. See, fits nicely. Bit of glue, slap it in. And then take the end of the cowling together just to get that all glued in. See, look, looks very nice. Put the front of the cowling where the machine guns are. Look, that goes on there quite nicely. Then we all start going pear-shaped. This little bracing bar is just to widen off the like the wing root on the front of the fuselage there. You see I've had to cut the bit of the fuselage just there. I'm just getting the wings on here, and you'll see that there's a major gap. Yeah, come on, hurry up. There's a big gap on either side of the wing root here. Hope you can see it. It's not particularly clear, but it really is quite noticeable. And I have to be honest, it nearly went in the bin. it teetered quite closely to being in that bin. So just get the front of the cowl on here. That wasn't a brilliant fit. There's a bit of a gap in the wheel well. I think what I do here, yeah, I'll just try the cowling on just to see, make sure everything's going to be as good as it's going to get, which I think that's as good as it's ever going to get. And then what we do here, as you can see, we're using little plastic fillets, like plasticard fillets, to make up that massive gap. Using the chisel, sharp chisel here, without trying to cut my hand off. Just trim that plastic down. You can see how big a gap that was. And then we fill, prime, fill and prime. We're using the Guns Dissolve, Mr. Dissolve putty. It is about, I thought it was a good one to use. I think if I use sprue glue, you'd never get into to sand it off. So we're using lacquer thinners just to smooth that down a bit. We prime it and then we rub it down, and this goes on and on and on. It seemed to go on and on for days on end. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit here, but as I say, it nearly went in the bin. Micromesh is your friend here. I luckily had a mate of mine send me a load of micromesh a couple of days before. Maybe he knew what was coming. So it's just like a three-stage process of a bit of filling, a bit of priming, and a bit of sanding. Micromesh works well, doesn't it? And we did that 3 times at least. And then we finished off with a bit of grey Stynylrez, just because I get fed up with looking at the black, in all honesty. In actual fact, it turned out about as well as I could get it. A little bit of rescribing and then we were off. As you can see, I've tried to mask up my own markings. The rudder was fine, obviously. The roundels, a little less so, I've got to be honest. Just a bit of an experiment to see whether I could do it with my little compass cutter that I've got. To a degree it works, but you really need something that's a bit more accurate than my little compass cutter. Marble coat for the black base for the underneath. Working quite well. This obviously is speeded up. I didn't want an overly over-weathered airframe here, so just a little pin wash for the panel lines. I believe this aircraft is a trainer. I'm going to be honest, I'm not particular up on this particular aircraft, but so we'll just go with just a lightly weathered airframe that just had a bit of use, and hopefully I can pull it off. Thank you if you made it this far, guys. Just finish off a little, couple little bits at the end. Stay with it. We've got the reveal photos coming right up after this. If you like what you see, please give me a like. Please give me a subscribe and tell all your friends all about it. Okay, guys, I will see you soon. I will see you on the next one. Bye now.